Hello, today is July 27th, driving back from Orlando, got my unicorn shirt on, so you know it's a good day. It's probably been a month since I recorded anything. Got some teeth taken out, root canal extractions recently. It's quite literally my attempt to get to root cause problems and fix things. But we will now be focused on the material physical health in today's video. Alright, I was watching one of the recaps from Richard Grove and his Grand Theft World, and I do apologize, I still have a lisp with this hole in my mouth, but it's better than wearing the fake teeth. Watching episode 90 of Richard Grove's Grand Theft World. They're like 20-30 minutes long, and the synopsis usually has like 4 or 5 different clips that's going to highlight the 6-hour show. And there was a clip, I believe it was Matt Walsh, that's what it looked like, and that's be the guy who recently came out in that documentary about who is a woman or what is a woman. Anyway, he was speaking about an article, and I think it was The Guardian that put it out, that was supposedly blowing the lid on the fact that the big pharma, the medical industry, or the pharmaceutical industry, has been selling SSRIs, so what's that, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, depression meds, depression being a real problem. We won't even get into the cause of it. But they've been selling medication ostensibly that fixes it based on a chemical imbalance, and supposedly this study, what it's blowing the lid on is that there is no chemical imbalance. This is very significant. This video is not about the content of that article or depression meds. It's about the idea of disclosure. So, we are undergoing, on a worldwide scale, a massive, for all intents and purposes, the largest disclosure event or events that we know about. And what precipitated this, or the match that really set it off, would have been the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, for those in the spiritual community, the word that gets used frequently, that's bandied about, is the awakening or the Great Awakening. And I like that term fine. It certainly has a connotation of what someone might picture, what someone might envision one goes through as they come to know truth. It may or may not have the appropriate suggestion of everything that is entailed with it, and we'll get into that in a moment. And I believe I already spoke in another video on the difference between awakening and activating, and I'm going to highlight again the difference between awakening and disclosure. And it's kind of the difference between a passive and an active activity. So we've been wondering, what will the awakening look like? In other words, will people suddenly wake up in the sense that they come to an awareness of everything that's happening, as if it's a massive and sudden Kundalini type experience, where it all happens. It's very intense, and like you literally swallowed the red pill in the Matrix, and within a short amount of time, what's going on, right? You downloaded it all. That certainly feels like hyperbole at best, and wishful thinking, more likely than anything. And coming back to the passive versus active. So with the disclosure, what's going to happen, what is happening, is more pieces of information that to the casual observer while still open to the fact that they are accurate and truthful, more pieces of information will start to come to the surface through, we'll call it the alternative media, the truthers, all these folks out there doing the real hard work of researching what's going on and bringing to the limelight, certainly not the mainstream media, but their own channels on the alternative platforms, of things that would seem to be monumental to the industry it pertains to. So in the case of this article, here's a very damning piece of evidence that the pharmaceutical industry has been knowingly prescribing drugs to people for something that's not really fixing. And if COVID did nothing else but kind of shake you to the point where you're starting to look around and you're wondering, what's really going on, the sooner you can come to terms with this idea that everything that you've been told is a lie, and you can go through that formidable process of burning through that pain, because there's a lot of layers. Everyone's got a different life history of how significant each thing they have to unlearn, relearn, etc., to come to terms with the lies that have been purported to them, since birth or even before. The sooner you can go through that process, the easier it will be to begin to accept these seemingly independent pieces of information in regards to the disclosure. And it's like, okay, what are we talking about? What are we disclosing? And in short, it would be truth in its entirety. And to flesh it out, it comes back to the virtually everything has been a lie. And if anyone dares ask the question, well, what's the significance of that? I'm sure just by asking it, you're not grasping the enormity and gravity of that question. It means everything. We're talking about the ability to fundamentally imagine this world differently. It's almost such a big concept that it's hard to grasp initially, of really coming to terms with, if everything's a lie, why do we do this, why do we do that, and realizing ultimately that we are slaves on this prison planet, and if we want to escape from it, we have to collectively enact some sort of civil disobedience to move away from the control systems that we are allowing. Okay, now I'm all about the individual. Each person has to do this, but if just one person wakes up, not a lot's going to happen. That's the part of the collective. You need more than just yourself to realize what's going on. That's the part of the collective I'm a fan of. And that happens, very important, it happens on an individual level. Okay, now back to disclosure versus awakening. My connotation of awakening is a little more passive, where it's like, oh, it happened. But I think disclosure is a little more appropriate in the connotation, because each person has to do the work. The information will continue to pop up. You're going to start to see more and more and more articles, posts, however you get your information, of significant events where you're getting a peek behind a door or a curtain of, some nefarious activity of all the major systems that control us. And ultimately, again, once you can burn through, all that difficult, painful dross as you go through that process of realizing what this world really is, you'll start to see that all these things are connected and they lead back to the same type of control mechanisms. And that ultimately would be the source of, we'll call them the bad actors, or the malevolent forces here. further you probe, the deeper you'll get to the truth of who or what those are. And maybe you're asking, okay, you know, what's the point of this video? Well, this stands as a bookmark in time, as me recognizing that we are in, you know, the full throngs of the disclosure, and, you know, in so many words saying it's happening. The thing that, you know, people are waiting for, regardless of, you know, your religious inclination. We're in the throngs of it. This is the opportunity. This is the time. 20 years ago, 9/11 was possibly the biggest false flag event, at least through the eyes of those of us here in America. I think anyone who had been a victim of some heinous wartime atrocity with many more casualties would say, hey, you know, that wasn't real either. Is anyone paying attention? But considering our global position, okay, if 9/11 didn't wake you up, you were too young, or, you know, had your head in the sand, then absolutely COVID needed to have shaken you awake, because now things are playing out on a global scale and it's much faster. So this is just to put out, we are undergoing the massive disclosure event. Information is going to continue to percolate to the top. Take it in, put it through the trivium, see how it resonates with your internal logic, in order to, you know, self-verify the truthfulness of it, and then start to juxtapose that with other sources of where you're getting information to create a cohesive quilt of truthful information. And just know, you know, where I'm at right now in terms of awakening versus disclosure, that I feel each person, it is incumbent on the individual to do the work. You know, I don't necessarily expect people to put in the same amount of research time that I have. I'm fortunate that I've been able to spend thousands of hours now in the last few years of going through material, and I endeavor to continue not just to make these videos, but to put out specific content to help assist people in navigating a lot of this information that'll come in due time. So the disclosure is happening. Start to connect the dots as you begin the process of dissolving your paradigms. My biggest piece of advice is, at the outset, embody in your mind, in your thoughts, and then in your emotions, to not identify yourself with the information you already know, because when you run up against something you disagree with or you don't know, it will naturally cause the ego to throw up a wall and say, no, you know, we've gone far enough, or this isn't true. Instead, attempt to cultivate an identification, not with the information you already know, but with truth itself. It will make the process so much easier, because now you will naturally identify with the truth, and your desire upon running into something that would otherwise conflict with your previous information or knowledge, you'll just want to get through it and move on, instead of like throwing up a barricade, which will eventually, you know, leave you at a dead end on this whole process. All right, that's the disclosure.